very heavy technical stuff that you guys deal with on a daily basis that for us is just not.
The thing that I worried about when I heard it was that, oh, this is a great idea. The problem is, does it translate to what the recorder's office is? Does it actually convey the land?
Yeah,
And just because you show what the intent is, doesn't convey it to the recorder, right?
Yeah.
And the recorder, it's either black or white, it's either
That's it.
there or not, right?
Yeah.
But there's no such thing as an idea, right?
yep,
So,
yep.
anyway.
All it did was just leave more confusion.
Exactly. Hopefully they keep working on it.
They will.
So if we make it a thing, I feel like.
Hopefully they don't mess it up even worse.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
As far as opening this meeting, so we don't have the chair or vice chair right now.
Okay.
I can open the meeting and have them vote, right?
Do you have, I mean, you have a quorum,
We have a quorum.
right?
Yeah, it's just who's gonna be, I don't know if they vote to, or the deciding factor of who's gonna be running this
Yeah.
specific meeting has to be as a recording or not.
Yeah, I mean, you can open it, but then obviously any type of motions and everything like that have to come
No, right, I would
from
just
them.
open it and then just have the first item be, okay, say to vote on who
Yeah.
pro temp chair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even
Yep.
like I said, I own my home. I never got a land use permit in my life.
Yep, I think you got it dead on.
I know that if the city would require it, they would show up.
So the semantics,
You
right?
need to get a land use permit. And I will give you measurements of things that I have done. I know they will pass.
Right.
Because I have done.
That, well,
Right,
that's
so
why
like you can,
I wasn't afraid to get
This meeting, the first
a
item.
permit for the
They can
fence because I already
Correct.
knew it was in
Yep.
compliance.
Yep.
But it was just more right to.
No, yeah. I just wish that it was free. You know,
Yeah.
free makes it like, when you tell people, like, I tell people all the time, and Alika, she's seeing the flow going towards her, people calling her for land use permits, because I show up and I'm like, hey, you know what? I have an idea, why you don't call our city planner? She can offer you a land use permit, she will check your property, your measurements, everything, and she will tell you exactly the surface that you can use. And it's free. I tell them that, and it's always free.
did you grab the PDF?
So people find a way to check.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thanks
great night.
again, Rob. Nice to see you.
Your house.
Yeah, we're safe. We're safe. It's just, it's kind of like a spectacle at this point to just watch it crawl across the mountain.
So I mean, it's moved past, so unless the wind like completely reverses.
Yeah, so we're good.
Fingers
Yeah,
crossed it
thanks.
does not
Appreciate
happen.
it. See you later. You ready? You ready, Freddie?
Where's the, oh, it's right there, yeah. Okay, so, all right, is everybody ready? Oh, actually, okay, we should be fine. Okay, I think we're ready. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 14, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. So both our chair and vice chair aren't here. So the first item has to be a vote for who our pro temp chair is for this evening only. Do we have any nominations? Anyone wants to be chair for this? Okay. Yeah. You guys, is everyone okay with Nor being all those, I guess, in favor? Yes.
I'll move to
On
open
motion.
the meeting.
Or, so, okay. I think he made the
One or
motion.
the two. Yeah. Whatever gets it going.
Okay. Okay. Right, you're up, Norb.
Let's see.
for special items or introductions to our new planning commissioner and new code compliance official. I'll turn this time over to Al.
Okay, so first up, may notice we have a new planning commissioner, Katie Walquist. So she has taken the place of John Bradley. So Katie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep, I'm Katie Walquist. Do I need to be?
Yes, as your,
This is
yeah.
recording, right?
We're on YouTube right now, so we need to.
Okay, are we good? Okay. Yeah, so I'm Katie Walquist. Just excited to be part of this commission. I've been a resident of South Ogden for 27 years, and I've kind of lived in a few different neighborhoods in the city, so really exciting, very different, very unique neighborhoods from each other. So, but yeah, most of my professional work has been in the education community within Ogden City. I'm so passionate about public education. I'm really comfortable in the education space. So this is all exciting and new for me to be doing a kind of a different side of things. So, but yeah, I think that's all. I've got 2 kids, both in their 20s, and just love living in South Ogden.
Awesome, thank you. Welcome aboard. Next up, we have our introduction of our code compliance official, Guillermo Garcia. You can come up to the podium. He actually started back in April, but well, you're still new, less than 6 months. But as you recall, we didn't have a meeting in May. We had other things backed up for June, and we didn't have a meeting in July. So that leads us to now. So yeah, Guillermo, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good evening. My name is Guillermo Garcia. I've been an inspector for like 15 years, give or take. In California, I was a structural inspector over there. And then when I moved to Ogden, to Utah, I started working with Ogden City. I was their right-of-way inspector, and I was doing some mandatory shut-offs and other stuff. And then I moved to the code enforcement department. Then I worked for the state for a little bit, and now we're here. I'm very happy to be a part of this team, a very good team, to be honest. And I'm excited to help the city to accomplish get these properties back into compliance, but always be in a friendly way, more than an aggressive way. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions for code compliance, you can direct them all to Guillermo.
You've felt for a long time. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I've heard that lots of times already. Yeah. Yeah. We're doing our best. Like she said, every neighborhood is very different. Yeah. Ogden is bigger, so I saw a difference too in the neighborhoods. But here, being so small, you just cross one street and yeah, it changes a lot. But everyone has been very good. My approach is very friendly. Communication is one of my main things. So I want people to know that I'm willing to help all the time. I'm looking for solutions, not more burdens, to be honest. And yeah, we're trying. There's some properties that we're gonna need to work a little harder, to be honest. I guess it'll be an issue for some people. Says 10 years or more. So we'll try. But yeah, it's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we're starting from nothing. We didn't have
Yeah.
code compliance, so he's trying to build that up and trying to find what works best for him and, yeah, how to make the city just a better place.
I'm creating a lot more work for Alika.
That's fine. That's great.
Yeah, land use permit is one of the ones that I'm like keep pushing people like, hey, get a land use permit, call Alika.
Yeah, no, that's great. No,
Oh,
well,
thank you very much. It was nice
For
meeting
being
you.
here.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I add 2 things to Guillermo's comments? I'm just going to keep inserting myself until.
oh, go
somebody
ahead.
2 things. First of all, we are starting from scratch on this, and the look of South Ogden is not going to change overnight. It's not going to change in 6 months. It's not going to change in a year. It is going to be a continual process, and so be patient. We also only have 1 person, so a lot of his time is spent in a reactive manner versus a proactive manner. Especially now that we've advertised to people that that we have this position, there's a lot more coming into us versus him being able to just go out into the neighbors neighborhoods and be, eyes on and really help in a proactive way. So keep that in mind, and as you talk to your neighbors and you are, helping educate them on what's happening, and with this position, help them understand that this is a long-term solution, not an overnight change. The second thing I would say is we have code at southodgencity.gov is the email address. And so if you do get hit up about a specific property, don't feel like you have to be the person that comes to Guillermo with that. Help them help themselves to address those directly with Guillermo, so that they can understand that it's received, and it just cuts you guys out of the process a little bit for you to pass that contact information directly to them so that they can communicate with him versus having you be in the middle of all of that. So, yeah,
No, we have a section.
code at southodgencity.gov is the email address you should give them. So, and we do have it's on the website as well, so if they have any questions there, they can go there. But I guess overall, don't be the middleman, pass them directly on to him, so.
What are the common types of code enforcement issues that you're running into so far? Like,
Well, I'd say right now, mostly it's junk and weeds.
Weeds,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think the majority, and this is all cities, they're all the same. The first one, it depends on the month of the year, it depends on the weather, it depends. But for me, I focus on safety. That's the first thing that I want to tackle. Anything that is unsafe for the community, that's what I focus on. Looks come after, and being only me here, it's gonna take us a while, like Somerset. But I'm focusing more like right now we have weeds. People is calling lots of times, complaining about the neighbors. Some of them are like this taller than normal. Some of them are like this tall. So we're focusing on that right now. But yeah, parking. There's a lot of people that owns like several vehicles that are inoperable. We're trying to work with the code too, because the code is not very clear. It doesn't allow them to have any vehicles either. So we're trying to see, me and Alika are working hard on being clear in some of those codes, maybe doing some amendments to them, trying to help people to, we know sometimes a car breaks and they need to repair it, but they don't have the money, then the weather comes in, the snow, they cannot use it, they leave it there for months. And our code says that it cannot be there. So they have to get rid of it. So it's kind of harsh. We're trying to see if we can, but that's an example only of the things. But yeah, I would say parking, weeds, inoperable vehicles, trash. But we have some special properties there that they have all of them together. Yeah, and they're a hazard for the community. So
And you
I
may
would say-
not think weeds is a safety issue, but
yeah,
in 103-degree weather.
Yeah.
And
but how are you received, I guess, is what I'm wondering too.
what was?
how are you received? Like, are people like open to you?
I have good experience till now. Like a lot of officers from other cities, they don't knock on doors. They park in the front, take pictures, go back to the office, send a letter. And that works too, but I like to knock on doors. I like to listen to people. They might still receive a letter. Sometimes I start the case, but I know that I talked to them and I gave him like a verbal warning. People appreciate that when you're willing to help, when I listen to them. Some of them talk for 5 minutes, some of them talk for an hour, and I'm there listening. So, and at the end, I'm trying to look for solutions, and I make it clear that the code is the main thing and we need to follow it, but I'm willing to help them as much as I can. They need more time. Every situation is different. Some people, they're disabled, they need help. So we're trying to look for solutions for those things. But like I said, a couple of homeowners maybe, they told me to leave their properties. That's fine.
And you can tell that type of an approach is going to take longer, right? It's
Definitely,
probably
yeah.
a lot faster for him to just roll through a neighborhood, take pictures, come back, send those letters. You can get things, you can get through a lot of cases like
Yeah.
that, but it doesn't necessarily mean you get compliance like that. And so while his approach does take longer, we hope that that is a better reflection of our elected officials and staff's commitment to our residents versus just sending out those letters. But it does add to the time.
Yeah, definitely. Like I could probably open 20 cases a day if I was just taking pictures. And instead of opening 20 cases, I'm opening 5 and 6, then another 5 and 6 rechecks. And then if somebody puts a complaint in a neighborhood, I check the whole neighborhood. So I open cases around it. So sometimes the person that made the complaint, they receive a letter too. And those are the calls that I get. Sometimes people not being that happy, but I'm just trying to be fair to everyone. And yeah, like Summer said, it takes time to be, but that's the approach that I want to take. And they were on board when I told them that. Like I said, I work for Ogden, and when I started, everything was very aggressive, extremely aggressive. So I started changing it, and then they moved me to the biggest area in Ogden. I guess they thought it was like a prize, but it was not. It was more work. It was like, yeah. So, yeah, definitely. I love working with people, helping them, looking for solutions, and that's what I want to do here. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are not used to people knocking on the door, talking to them, or I know some of our police officers were to show up and, hey, cut your weeds, and they see a police officer, they're like, okay, I'm gonna get a fine, so I'm gonna cut it right away. But with me, sometimes they ignore me. They're like, oh, yeah, I'll take care of it. And they don't do it. So we're working on all that process too. We know that sooner or later I'm gonna need to send fines. Sooner or later we're gonna need to do a couple of abatements. But it's a long process. It takes time, a lot of our money too. And it's pretty invasive to the homeowners. Even, they don't realize what can happen sometimes. So I just wanna keep doing this for as long as we can, and it's gonna take a little bit more time, but I think we're doing good. Yeah, I can see a difference. I know some people don't see it, but I can definitely see it. I used to drive to 36 and some other streets, Washington, to go up to Harrison, and I remember telling Alika when I moved here, I have seen these properties, and I was like, who was the code guy here? Like, and they're like, well, we didn't have one. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, so we have been doing some changes, and I can see that working. So
Do you guys have any other questions?
yeah, whenever you guys have a question, like Summer said, I have my email there. But also, if you go to our city page, there's a phone number too, and that goes to my desk. So every time somebody leaves a voicemail, that's easier for me to keep track, because then I check the properties. I always return the voicemails. So if somebody approaches you for something like that, just tell them to give us a call, send us an email. That way I can check the property. I go in person, and then I prioritize depending on the severity of the violations.
And as Guillermo said, you may start seeing some, as a result of him being out in those neighborhoods and seeing what issues we have and what issues are maybe not clearly spelled out in code. We may be bringing things to you over the next little bit to either clarify or make changes to, and they're going to be, us bringing it to your attention and at times making a recommendation, but it's your city, so you're welcome to tell us that's not the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
But we're going to be making directions that, in our perspective, will help him be able to do his job maybe a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner, a little bit in a way that our residents are going to be able to understand a little bit better. So, anyway, take that for what it's
Yeah.
worth. We might keep you busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry in advance. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Summer.
Okay, new item under special items is a nomination election of the new planning commission chair and vice chair.
Okay.
Open the floor for nominations for the planning commission chair. that allowed or?
Yeah, you can.
He's been on the commission the longest of anybody, I believe. You know, and it's really, I'm really not trying to get back into asking how you get rid of a planning commission. At the meeting, I voted against STR.
Okay, so we have nomination.
Any more nominations?
I mean, I think he did a great, he's done a great job. You know, is he like fine with being, like, I know he jokes about it.
He doesn't
He's not
have to say
here.
He's not
Well,
here.
doesn't have to accept without
We joked around about that last
I mean,
time.
he couldn't
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah, I guess. To my knowledge, I don't think he minds.
That is volunteering to fill the position of chairman.
Yeah,
You know,
anyone?
you can nominate, you are allowed to nominate yourself, so.
Yeah.
I'll nominate somebody else too if they want to do it.
I like Rob. Rob would do great.
Me?
That's two.
Pete, would you like to?
I'm putting it on somebody that isn't here because it is a bigger responsibility and he can't like speak up for or against himself.
So
I
is
guess-
that you volunteering?
Or
nominating
I will,
yourself?
volunteer to nominate Commissioner Mitchell, who I think would be a good fit for the position.
Okay, we have, any other nominations?
Okay. Any discussion?
Okay.
No?
The floor is
Nope.
now closed for nominations. All those who, let's see, I guess we have to, how do we work? We have two nominations.
You go in order. So you'll say all those in favor of Commissioner
Okay,
X.
all in favor of electing Chairman Bruder,
Do we have to have a,
Bruder as chairman?
do we have to have a motion, though?
Pardon?
Do we have to have a motion on that?
Need a motion for that?
To close the discussion, you mean, or?
A motion on who we would want to nominate for chair?
Yeah, I think that's what he was
I've got a script
starting
here.
to do.
Basically,
Um,
the floor is closed for nominations now because we have no more.
mhm.
And then, I'm just reading the script here. It says,
Yeah.
all in favor of Commissioner Bruder for planning commission chair, say aye.
That's in the script.
Yeah,
That's in the script? No,
Aye.
not Brute, no. Specifically.
it's Commissioner X.
He was pre-nominated.
If there's more than one, which we do in this case, we can do like a roll call vote for each one. So I guess we can start with, I guess it was Commissioner Bruder first, and then it would be Commissioner Mitchell, unless you don't want to be considered at all.
Yeah, do you want to? Or
I don't care to
You
be.
don't mind?
I like Rob better.
All right, then I can withdraw my nomination.
Are we okay with this?
Nomination be withdrawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
One nomination.
we have one nominee, so.
Are we sure, right before we get there?
So
Anyone
once
else?
again, it's closed the floor is closed for nominations. All those in favor of Commissioner Bruder for planning commission chair, say aye.
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 I
All those opposed, let's see, it was unanimous. So,
Mhm. Okay.
congratulations. Now chair.
Yeah. I think I said something like in an excited tone.
Slightly excited tone. Okay, I open the floor for nominations for planning commissioner vice chair. Does anyone have a nomination?
I think Brock Gresham's great. Let's just leave it the way it is.
Anyone else would like to? Brian, would you like to have vice chair? Or Pete? Or Norb?
Yeah, I know Brock's not here, but he did fine as the vice chair.
All right.
I'd be open to it.
To be vice chair?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you officially nominating yourself?
Do it.
I don't like that look. Yeah.
Somebody nominate Pete.
Yeah, somebody.
Thanks.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, the floor
So
is
then-
now closed for nominations. All those in favor of Commissioner Caldwell for planning commission vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Wait, are we keeping Brock Gresham?
Oh, I'm sorry, Brock is vice chair, excuse me, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Pete. I said Caldwell, didn't I?
That's all good.
That's okay.
I apologize.
We can go through
I
each
think
one.
I think if Pete's wanting to do it, I say we make it happen.
Planning Commission vice chair, say aye. Aye.
For-
You can go down.
Are we, I guess I lost track.
No, you're good. Since there's two, we can do a roll call for each. So for Commissioner Gresham, you can ask each commissioner what their vote is, and then we'll do the same thing.
Or could I rescind my nomination?
I really don't love the idea of assigning work to people that aren't here. So, yeah.
And Pete is a volunteer, so,
Mhm.
Commissioner Paul was a volunteer, I need to make this more formal. So, and is it in order, should we go Commissioner Caldwell, then Commissioner Gresham?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, no, that's all good.
Roll call vote since we have two.
Mhm.
I'm not sure everybody's last name. So Commissioner Mitchell?
Did-
What are we answering?
Yeah. Be clear about who you're voting. Yes, yeah.
Okay, we're voting for Commissioner Caldwell,
Okay,
Caldwell for vice chair.
yes,
Vice Chair.
yes.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Walquist
Walquist, yes.
and Commissioner Roca?
Rocha.
Rocha,
And yes.
Rocha, sorry.
No, you're good.
And Commissioner
Yes.
And then
Caldwell, yes.
Okay.
So it's unanimous,
it's unanimous. Okay.
so there's no need to take it any further. Okay, congratulations, Commissioner Caldwell on the Vice Chair.
Thanks, everybody.
That was an excited voice.
Yeah.
More enthusiasm.
Congratulations to our new Chair and Vice Chair, in an excited tone.
Good job, yeah.
Next, we have voting items. First item, discussion on a potential update to section 10-17-2-A7, off-street parking space and driveway requirements for dwellings.
Great. So just a few minutes ago, you met our code compliance official. So he handles anything on the property, for anything from the curb in. And part of that is on-site parking or off-street parking. So staff just wants to get ahead of that. I don't think there's been any specific issues right now. But from driving around the city, I do see some properties where it can be an issue looking at our current code. Currently, if residents want to add additional parking on their property, it must be on the side or the rear of the property. But no portion of the vehicle can go past the front facade of the house. So the entirety of the car, of the RV, of the boat, whatever it may be, has to be behind the front facade. And it can stay on the side or it can stay in the rear. We do allow for a second driveway. We do have standards for that. It would have to be a minimum of 10 feet wide for a single car. And then the combined area of driveways may not cover more than 70% of the front yard, and the combined width of the driveway shall not exceed 50%. Staff gets to check on those via land use permit, and then Public Works gets to actually do the curb cut. Per our code, we say that the driveway is a way to access the parking spot and not park the vehicle on there. So I'm referencing section 10-17-2A6, maximum yard area used for parking. No portion of the required front yard shall be used for parking vehicles. The front yard shall be left open except for driveways that provide access to garages or side or rear yard parking areas. So this requirement of having the entire parking spot be completely to the side, maybe and to the rear, can limit residents because maybe they do have the space to the side, but maybe their vehicle or RV or what have you sticks out a little bit beyond the front facade. Right now, they would not be in compliance, and so at that point, they would have to figure out something else. They may have to get rid of it, or I may push the parking of those vehicles onto the street. Another portion that we should consider is 10-17 2A4, which talks about surfacing. So right now we allow asphaltic concrete, pavement bricks, cement concrete, permeable pavers, and then any other material that can be approved by city manager. Maybe something to consider would be like gravel, just because it's something that's cheaper, and it still allows drainage onto the property. So taking that into consideration, I started looking at a couple other cities to see kind of how they regulate this. And so part of your staff report is looking at Layton and North Ogden. So, let's see. Layton does allow RVs to be parked and have access off of an approved driveway. And they do have a standard of having it be 10 feet from the public right-of-way. So it can extend past the front facade. They just have to maintain that 10 feet from that sidewalk or from that public right-of-way. They're allowed to sit on a hard surface, which includes compacted gravel or road base. And then they allow one RV that's owned by the property owner. Then looking at North Ogden, the minimum required parking may not be located in the front yard and side yard. So for a detached family or single family dwelling, that's about 2 parking spaces. So anything that's required can't be in the front. So it would have to be in the garage or under a carport. But overflow parking is permitted on the front and side, as long as they meet the driveway standards, which they have under their section A4, which does talk about like it can't be less than 10 feet for one-way traffic. So yeah, before getting into it and before presenting like a change to the code, I wanted to bring this to Planning Commission to discuss, to see if this is even something that you would be open to possibly altering or to leave as is. I just wanted to bring this up to you and see if this is something you wanted to pursue. Yeah, go ahead.
Any requests from residents to change that?
They're not aware of it. It's part of the issue. That yeah, and I have to, when we, yeah, he can come up here, yeah.
So Ogden allows people to have a path on the side, but they need to use the same approach for the driveway, right? They cannot drive across their front yard. They cannot put gravel on the other side and just go up the curve. Here, when I started checking the code, I told Alika about these things. And I'm like, if I start enforcing these kind of codes, people is going to be very upset.
Yeah.
There's a lot of properties here that have trailers and camping
Boats
and
and all of that.
motorhomes and stuff like that, that they're not behind the main dwelling.
Right.
And a lot of them, they're used to other cities around them, like word of mouth, I don't know, they said gravel. And I'm okay with it. It works pretty good. It allows the water to go into the earth, not just go to your neighbors and flood their yard. So it's a pretty good option. It's not very expensive. And we also not bringing those vehicles into the street. People then move it to the street, then PD has to go there, and they put them back inside, then I have to go there again. And it's just like, so I mentioned this to Alika, and yeah, we wanted to bring it to you guys to see. That would be a great option. That way we can help our homeowners here to keep their trailers there, and also don't receive fines from me.
Yeah, and it's giving them more rights over their property. That's always going to be something that I look to do when it comes to not just clarifying the code, but also reviewing, hey, is this limiting how much of their property they can use? And is it creating another problem that we can help mitigate?
Was it Layton that had the restriction that they had 10 feet on the curb?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost all cities have the same, the 10 feet. That way you have the clearance to see when you're using your driveway.
So not
yeah.
necessarily. They don't have it for their parking. You are correct that there is like a line of sight. And usually, I mean, it depends. Some cities have it as 10 feet, some cities have it as 25 feet. And I'm talking about that triangle. Ours here is 40, which I don't really see that changing right now. And as far as this section of code, it would just be looking at, do we want to add that, I guess kind of like a setback? Like, okay, you can have it extend past the front facade, but maybe just don't block the sidewalk, or maybe be 5 feet from the sidewalk, or be the 10 feet from the sidewalk.
Maybe have a distance past the facade, like 10 feet,
Yeah, yeah.
10 feet off the road, 10 feet past the facade.
That could
That
work
would be-
too.
yeah.
Some of the properties are more to the front, and that way if you give that, it could bring them all the way to the edge of the sidewalk. So that could create, when somebody's using their own driveway, they don't see if somebody's coming from either side from the
Yeah.
driveways. So
Yeah.
that way, I feel like, yeah, starting that distance from the sidewalk in, it's a little bit safer.
And it'll be easier to check if it's
Yeah,
from
to
the
enforce
sidewalk.
too.
Be like, oh, okay, if this is X amount of feet from the sidewalk, I can check that.
Resident with a parking pad right up to the property line, is there a setback requirement or no for
Nope.
there?
Nope, not for pad. Once they do like a carport, then they would have to, that's an accessory structure or building, I guess now. And they would have to follow that setback of the 8 feet. But if it's just concrete, they can go right up to their property line. This is different than this code, but we will probably have to look at percentage for permeable surface. But that's for another time. That's a different section of code.
Sorry, didn't we just go over this code like maybe a year ago and talk about driveway access and,
I think it was
Parking?
2 or 3 years ago, looking back on it. And it was, yeah, adding that second driveway.
I think we pretty well got settled at that point with what the code was.
But since we have new commissioners, and most of that conversation revolved around whether or not to have the second access, which that's not what we're wanting to change. I mean, unless you you look at that second section of code and want to make any alterations. This is about just going beyond the front facade. But I'm open to anything.
Alika, can I just ask a couple clarifying questions?
Sure.
So what you're saying is our code right now, if the front of their house is right here,
Yeah.
their car can't
Extend
extend
that.
past that, which, when I look at some of the older neighborhoods in South Ogden, that's not.
They're
I-
not
I
very
mean,
deep.
It's not super feasible.
Right.
Well, and I guess I'm thinking about it from a standpoint of how many people are living in houses these days because home ownership is so difficult. A lot of us have our own kids living in basement apartments or staying home longer, which means now you have more drivers. We're not even talking about cars or recreation vehicles that are stationary. We're talking about like vehicles that are moving in and out on a regular basis just to accommodate multiple adults in the house that are not able to stick out past that house, which to me, there's almost two things to consider. The vehicles and then the extra vehicles that are, like, I could actually see if you've got a recreation vehicle, like, keep it back there so I'm not seeing it. But right now, our code doesn't even allow your teenage son to have a vehicle parked in the driveway.
Technically. I mean, everybody does.
Right, but
Sure,
that's
if you
the
walk
point.
around.
Why do we have a code in place that we're not willing to enforce?
Yeah, and I think for like the first or the existing driveway, we basically just said, okay, we can turn our head for that. I wouldn't mind having a line in the code that says it's okay for you to use your driveway to park. I believe it's not part of the staff report, but when looking at other cities, I think Syracuse has that line in there. Like, okay, we will allow you to use your driveway for that additional parking.
For family members who, you know, or somebody who's, you know, if you could word it so that you could say they can park there if they're a resident living in the house, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have guests over, we're not going to go and stop you from using your driveway or any other, or the street for parking. But when it comes to like the minimum requirement for that lot, if a house, if it's in the zone where it allows for a duplex or an ADU, right? The required parking, anything in the driveway does not count. They would have to find somewhere else for that. And so we just need to be a little bit clear about if we're going to allow it for that existing driveway and that second driveway if they qualify for that. And if they do get that second, or that concrete pad or that second driveway, are we okay with them extending past the front facade a few feet? And maybe that's more feasible for like a regular vehicle, but for an RV, it's going to go beyond the front facade. So just something to consider.
Did I hear you correctly that we already have a distance, the 40 feet from the sidewalk is already in?
No, that's for line of sight triangle.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. That's what every city has, some sort of distance for a line of sight triangle. Ours is 40. Usually it's about 25 feet. And we could add something to that too, even the driveway. I've seen that in other cities where they'll have a diagram that says, okay, from the driveway, we'll have that line of sight triangle. So you can't cover that and make sure that that's open and clear so that you can see kids coming or other cars coming. And have that safety measure.
I can't help but think about the movie Christmas Vacation and Cousin Eddie's. And thinking about a street full of those.
Right.
All sticking out front.
Yeah, and what is your concern with that? Just like the look of it or the safety aspect of it?
If you look down the street and everybody's got an RV sitting in front of their house.
Yeah.
It would certainly change the feel of the neighborhood.
Sure.
So is there a difference between using the driveway or the front of the driveway for storage versus using it for parking? Have you seen any differentiate? Because to me, that's what I hear you saying is, I don't necessarily want people storing their RV on their driveway, in the front of the driveway, but if it's a car that's moving back and forth on a regular basis, we're not as worried about it.
I agree.
Okay.
So but I don't know, is there codes that you've seen that will differentiate those two, or does nobody care about that differentiation?
The only one that I've seen is maybe Layton that specifically says an RV can be parked. Most of the time they'll lump them together.
Can I add something, Alika?
Sure.
For me, it's
Welcome.
different. Yeah, it's different, right? Because for the RV, we can allow them to have a parking pad with gravel, right? And that can pass the facade of the property with those 10 feet that we talked before.
Okay.
But the driveway, I see it every day. Like it's just for me, I don't know how I'm gonna enforce that. That code is not like, they cannot park in the driveway.
Yeah.
They can access the back of their property or they can access their garage, but that is not reality. Like 99% of the houses here in South Ogden has vehicles. I start pretty early. Sometimes I come here 6:30, 7 a.m. because I want to see these things, or I leave later at 7, sometimes 6, and I drive around the neighborhood and I see driveways just full of cars. And the next day I go and check to see if they're blocking the sidewalk. That's my concern. But as long as they don't block the sidewalk, I'm like, it's gonna be really hard for me I could write 99% of all these houses because they have cars in their driveway. The RV, I agree with Summer, with you that but that's just my opinion, that I wouldn't like them in the driveway. I think it's unsafe to keep them there in the front. But if they
Right.
store them on the side in an approved parking surface, I'm okay with it. Because I have talked to homeowners already about it. It's our code, so I have talked to them. Hey, this trailer cannot be here. You can only have it for sometimes they have it plugged in because I can see they're getting ready to go camping. Then they come back and he stays there for a couple of weeks. Then I go and talk to them. And I let them know, hey, this trailer can't be here. Show them the code. And they get really upset. They don't get mad. They're just like, I'm going to need to pay to take this trailer to like a yard when I can just set gravel here. But the code said that we cannot use gravel either.
Right.
Yeah.
If somebody bought a bigger motorhome and we allowed gravel, and they they've got a pad, but it sticks out on the front, if they could grab a little bit further back in their backyard, that would solve the problem, and it would be inexpensive for them. I
Yes.
don't see that I'd
Yeah.
rather see something like that happen than have the RV or a boat. or a
Sticking to the
trailer
front.
Yeah.
totally in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
but
I agree.
sometimes they don't have that room to the back, right? It just depends on the depth of the lot, right? Especially for those smaller lots, it may take up most of that side. Or they may have a structure there. They can have a little shed back there that they would then have to move. So it's trying to think of multiple scenarios. There's no way we can think of every single one. But, I mean, I think a good middle ground would be, okay, it can stick out, but only a certain distance.
Would it work to have a long 5 foot in front of the facade, or maybe 10 foot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it will
it's,
be a lot easier for me to enforce too, because I can measure from the curve, or from the sidewalk, sorry, in, and then 10 feet, 5 feet, whatever you guys decide, that's the code.
Well, what I was wondering about is.
From the front facade.
House forward, so you measure from the front of the house to the front of the.
But some of the houses they're saying are closer to the
Yes.
driveway,
Yeah.
then that would
So using the main dwelling
block the driveway.
will be a little difficult, to be honest, because every property will be different. But if we use the sidewalk, and then we say 10 feet from the sidewalk, it will be a lot easier, and we still have that clearance, like it's just, and again, it's not gonna stick in the front of the property.
Yeah.
We're just gonna tell them that's the minimum, right? If they have the space to put it on the side, then go ahead, but,
So are we
Yeah.
saying measuring from the sidewalk if they're in the driveway or from,
no, the code says they cannot be in the driveway.
okay.
They
so
cannot be,
that-
yeah.
But you're saying about this possible change,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
if we were to measure,
So they would still need to be on the side.
right,
In an approved parking surface.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I do think, and I don't know if like now's the time to address it, but we touch on a lot of like how cars are not even, like movable cars, like teenagers who live in your house can't
Mhm.
park in your driveway.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're all just turning a blind eye to because we know that everyone does it. I feel like that's something that we should adjust in the code and
Right.
not just
Yeah.
have it where we're turning a blind eye.
Right, and that's part of it
But
too, is
it's
having
like
that line.
also, I do agree, like, my thoughts are like, okay, you have junk cars that are broken down in driveways. That's different to me than
That
like
is-
cars that are actively moving in and out of.
Yeah.
the home.
Yeah, and so that's actually a different section of the code, that would actually just go straight to city council. Because anything, this is under Title 10, so that's why it comes to planning commission first. The portion that he's talking about for like the junk cars, I guess they're not junk, inoperable,
Yeah, no.
sorry.
I call them inoperable. People get offended. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, not
Yeah.
junk, inoperable.
Yeah.
That would be a different title.
Yeah.
And so that would be a different section of code of whether they're allowed to have one or not.
Mhm.
If they are allowed to have one, if it's covered, and where it should be located.
Yeah.
But this is just mostly looking at the car that is being driven, if not every day, most of the week, or the RV that they may have that they take out for the summer.
I just didn't want to advise or give an opinion like, yes, we should allow vehicles to park in
Mhm.
driveways if that was then going to like loop in, you know.
No, we
Yeah.
have a pretty clear code when it comes to that.
Okay.
I'm still looking to, and that, like I said, that's gotta go to city council, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to separate it because right now it's in the junk and debris and like, it just has everything in one code. And, yeah, sometimes when I send that code, the title is junk and people is like, my vehicle is not junk. So I'm like, I want to separate it to inoperable vehicle and maybe do another section for it. But yeah, that, it wouldn't matter where the vehicle is, to be honest, that if it's inoperable, it's inoperable. And yeah, we just need to make the code very clear about those
Yeah.
things that we're looking at, an inoperable vehicle, if it's missing parts, tires, they don't have any air, things like that, but yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
an inoperable vehicle or one that doesn't have a current license.
That is in the code too. Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
registered, that's inoperable right there.
Yeah.
If it's missing a headlight, taillights, tires, all that, it's inoperable. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but that wouldn't matter the
That would
parking
be,
surface.
yeah, that would be a different section of code. This is just primarily looking at, chapter 17.
For RVs, do we have in the code things that classify? Sometimes people like do the vans or the Mercedes
Yeah.
those that are very tall and still probably block view, but maybe they aren't technically like an RV or Are they all, like, do we have something that would loop that in?
I think it calls it recreational vehicles, I think
That's
so.
what, yeah.
Yeah, so it would include all of
Does
those.
it have to be like a certain height to?
We
I
don't
don't
have
think we
anything
have that.
specific on the height.
Depending on how far the house is set back from the street,
Hmm.
if we just go 10 foot from the sidewalk, there's gonna be situations where the boat, trailer, RV are gonna be totally in front of the house.
Right,
It might
Right.
happen, yeah.
I'm not opposed to looking at the code and again and getting detailed, but at the same time, when we created this code, we were trying to make it so that our front yards weren't parking lots. And because there was a permit,
Sure.
I think at the time that they wanted to put a driveway, basically put concrete there in their
The whole
entire
thing?
front yard, right?
Yeah.
So-
yeah, and so that's not allowed, although I do think we should put something in there that says that you can't do that. We just need to be a little bit more clear about that. But yeah, I think that for that conversation, it was mostly looking at that second driveway because of that permit. This is just allowing that car to stick out a little bit. And that's just an effort to be more realistic. But yes, I do
But I
agree
think if
that
you're
that's.
sticking out that far, you need to go get a RV pad somewhere else, right? Like go
This is
rent
true.
Yeah,
one, right?
yeah.
That's-
Yeah,
We're
but if
just
it's
trying
not-
to find solutions. You know,
Yeah.
trying- Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but if it's not an
That's not the
RV,
city's responsibility to decide that. If your RV is out in the sidewalk, and
Yeah,
there's
I know.
been, in my neighborhood, there was somebody that had that, and, you know, you just had to accommodate or go find someplace else to park it.
Yeah.
sure, but for a regular vehicle, where else are you going to park it? Yeah, for RVs, you can go rent a space and keep it somewhere else for most of the year when you're not using it, or maybe half the year when you're not using it. But for an everyday vehicle that may stick out a little bit past the front facade, that's what I'm concerned about. And why shouldn't they
But that's
be able
why they
to?
park in the right of way. Like, if they're coming and going, they should park in the right of way. It's a public right of way.
Sure, but then you have all these cars lined, or all these streets lined with
The
cars,
only
which is
time I
not a bad
think it
thing.
becomes an
but-
issue, the only,
Right.
yeah, the only time I see an issue is in the wintertime where people, you know, have to move their cars off the public right of way to plow, right?
Yeah, our code says on the winter, I cannot enforce any of those rules.
Right.
You see, now you will see 20 vehicles in the lawn.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I can do.
And see,
Yeah.
that I get, but where we're going to these other extents, I just think, you know, the code is fine the way it is.
I tend to think so too. I do think that maybe if we would allow gravel as a parking surface, it may give them some flexibility. Maybe they can't
Sure.
move to the limits of gravel, but they might be able to, which would solve, you know, some of the problems.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the whole parking spot would not be in the front yard. That's not what we're trying to change.
Right.
It would still be in the side.
Right.
It's
But
just if
even
it
that-
sticks out a little bit.
But even that, I think the argument at the time was, look, we all moved to South Ogden for a reason. It wasn't to move into a neighborhood that had a concrete backyard. We moved to Utah because it was
Well, that's
a
not
green,
allowed
a
anyway,
green
but-
space. Like, it was so, but our current commissioners, let's see, the mayor, the councilman, city council. There's one of the city councilmen was the chair of this commission at one time, and
Sure, yeah,
you know,
I know.
felt very strongly about that. You know, I was fairly new to the planning commission, but I agree with him.
Okay.
Yeah, this, like, so we have an RV, but we do pay to store it. However, kind of like how you were saying, sometimes like the week before we're gonna go camping or something, we'll take it to our house.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have a side RV pad that we'll park it on. However, our RV, literally, it's the front bumper will stick out past the front of our
Yeah.
front, like
Yeah.
literally just the metal bumper. But
Yeah.
technically,
Right.
under these codes, like,
I remember that.
that's not allowed, and
Yeah.
that is wild to me that I wouldn't be able to like store my RV there for like a week or two while we're, you know, loading, unloading.
Yeah,
the
but-
front bumper is like slightly.
Yeah.
past the front of the house.
I can see that though, right? It's temporary, right? But if
Even
you're,
if it wasn't,
If
like,
I can still send a letter. If I drive and I see it, I could still send you a letter.
like,
yeah, but then if we're going back to being more understanding and people are parking their vehicles there for a week, right? We know it's not permanent, right?
And that's what I've
So-
been doing. That's what I'm saying. Like I've been trying more than anything, educating people about the code.
Right.
And some people has told me like those codes are dumb. Sorry for the word, but that's how they call it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but those are the codes. You see, like that's what I'm saying. You can't tell me. You're telling me right now that I cannot get home from work and leave my car in the front of my garage in my driveway, and go to sleep. And I'm like, the code says no, and they're like, what? So those are the things that I'm seeing. I'm not. I don't want 20 cars parked in the. That usually is not gonna happen. But I have seen a couple of cars parked in the front of the garage. Maybe they're using the garage for something else. I know that the garage is for the cars, but that's reality. And I would need to send a letter to these people. But the thing is, this is, again, it's like 90% of all the properties here in South Ogden. And I've been driving, like I said, one day I got here like at 6:30 in my own car. And I came down from the canyon up, and I went to some of the neighborhoods. And yeah, it's like, I'm like, this is, how am I gonna do this? So, like, and again, every time that I see a violation for other things, I explain people about these things, but yeah, they don't.
So what basically does the code in Ogden say about personal vehicles, not?
Yeah.
these motor
Right, and that's insane. And they can be separate, right? There could be another section within here just for RVs, right?
Yeah.
Or, and maybe the sticking out beyond the front facade could be like, well, if your car sticks out a couple feet, we're not going to say anything about it. We're not going to make a fuss.
That's why I was wondering if we could increase rather than be straight across from the front of the house, we could let.
From the facade.
Yeah.
That'd probably solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, we could do that too. Whatever, like I said, whatever you guys think that it would be. It's just some of the codes right now, they're like really,
Hard for you to.
yes, that's reality. And
Yeah.
I can't do that, but then it's gonna take me a lot more time, and a lot of people's gonna hate me. And I know it comes with the job sometimes, but I just want to be more realistic with what the community needs. And like I said, 90% of the city I have seen, they use the driveway like that. And some driveways are like full of cars, and I understand that doesn't look good. Some people has trailers there for months, sometimes for years. I have seen it with spider webs, and they're in the front too. So I have talked to them about moving it to the side, and talking to Alika to see if they can get a land use permit to put a pad there. And a couple of them have been here and talking to her, and we're getting them to move that. So we're trying, but I don't know, talking about these codes and trying to just be more clear and maybe do a little bit of changing there, it can help us and also help the people that lives here.
It does sound like we need two separate codes, one for personal vehicles and one.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, two sections within the same
Two
code, but yeah.
sections, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can explore that too. Or we don't have to do anything to it. We can leave it as is, and we'll just enforce it.
I like
As
the
we
idea
go.
of measuring the distance from the sidewalk. I think it's realistic because people are going to be parking their cars beyond the facade because that's
Yeah.
life. And that would give us an opportunity to enforce things in a more consistent manner just because you're measuring from the sidewalk and it doesn't rely as much on, I don't know, placement of the house on the lot
Yeah.
or
Yeah, and-
things like that.
Are you saying that for like an RV or a personal vehicle?
For me,
Or
it's
both.
both.
Okay.
So you don't like cars parked in driveways? As long as they're.
No, yeah.
So-
No, sorry, I'm saying I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
My thought process, yeah, is that we need to have that, whatever did we decide, 10 feet, 15 feet.
Whatever.
so
It
you
doesn't
an
have to be
idea of
those
who's
numbers.
coming, Yeah. But I think people are going to be parking there regardless. And so we may as well create a code or something that we can actually enforce and not just be constantly writing people up for things that are pretty normal.
Do you know how many feet like a standard size driveway is?
Like the length of the driveway?
Yeah, like what would be a realistic ask to like be parked, you know, away
Yeah.
from the sidewalk?
Is there anything in code that requires homes to be built a certain distance?
I mean, they have the front setback, but they don't have to go right at that setback.
Yeah.
If they want it further in, they can do that.
Okay.
I'm just thinking
Yeah.
of my own house, it sets back quite a ways, I think. You can park it fairly decent
Yeah,
10 feet from the sidewalk and it would be totally in front of the house.
yeah,
And I hate to see everybody doing that. And I've got
Right.
next door neighbor has a
Yeah.
motorhome and parks it. When he comes home, just temporarily, he parks it, takes up most of his driveway. It's all in the front of the house, and it's just temporary. He doesn't leave it there. He's got a place he stores it. And I mean, I don't have any problem with that. I don't know what else to do. It'd be hard.
right, right.
Make it difficult for somebody, but I'd hate to have it parked there all the time.
And then I guess going back to the driveway and a little bit further, or away from the RV for a minute, if someone came in, got a land use permit for a second driveway, and it all complies with the code, would you be okay with if they parked more cars on that second driveway, or is it only that first original driveway?
Oh, I don't care if they park regular cars on the side of the house? Is that the question?
If they park on that second driveway. So if they come in and get that second driveway on the other side of the house, right? So they have one here and then one on the other side. They go park their car to the side, but then they get a second car because their teenager starts driving. And they start parking on that second driveway.
Is the second driveway, is that like an RV pad?
No.
No? It's like a full second driveway?
Which they are allowed to have under current code.
I think
I would say no. Park in the public right of way.
Okay.
What's the second driveway for? Like
It's,
For
so
whatever
we-
they
the
need,
whole,
I mean.
the whole discussion at the time came up with ADUs, accessory dwelling units.
okay.
So, so those driveways were meant to accommodate,
Right.
a driveway underneath an ADU or something like that,
Yeah.
right? And so you could drive through that, somebody could live on your property.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I've seen people using it as just, oh, I need more parking. I don't have room on that one side where my existing driveway is. So I need to put it on the other side. But in order to do that, there has to be some access off the street. And that's where that second driveway comes into play. That's what I've seen more of. The only time it would come to planning commission is if it involves two different streets. So if you have a lot that the backyard faces a different street than the front, and you would need an access off of that second street, that's when it would come here. But most of the time, that's not the case, and it just goes to staff. So if they meet all the requirements of that 70%, then that 50%, then they're good to go at that point.
Can I ask another question about the second driveways then, Alka?
Sure.
Does the lot size matter? So if, to the commissioners, if you have 100 feet of frontage and you want to add a second driveway on the other side of your house versus if you have 50-foot frontage, so now the majority of your front yard is going to be driveway.
Isn't there a percentage?
Yeah, there is a percentage. Yeah. Yeah. So it's 70% of the front yard. So the combined area of the two driveways cannot cover more than 70%. That's the area. And the width, it can be more than 50% of the width for the combined driveways. And they're usually about 10 to 12 feet wide.
So I guess that's what I'm saying is, if somebody really has a lot big enough to comply with that, do we care as much? If they're parking up there, because now
No.
you're not, you really don't have this sea of asphalt that you're imagining,
Right.
if it was in the tight neighborhoods, right up across the street here versus.
Well,
So
and
I
I-
guess that's my question for the commissioners.
Well, and my answer to that would be, get a variance.
I don't think
they would
You
qualify for that.
You can't get a variance for a driveway for, a lot that's bigger than a quarter acre.
No, and I mean, we would have to look at that whole property to see why they would need variance. I mean, variances should be few, right? Few and far between. So just simply having that bigger property wouldn't
So if we
qualify
put something in
for.
the code that said, hey, the current code applies to lot sizes this big, but if you've got a larger lot size, you can do more.
And
That
you're
would help.
referring to what, like a driveway
Yeah.
or?
Well, but a driveway would only apply to like an ADU, right? Why would you have a driveway on your,
Nope, it doesn't. We don't say that it only applies to an ADU.
Yeah, so for example, my niece turned 16, they live up in Layton. They have a small 30-foot driveway up in Shadow Valley, right? There was no way to have her car park on their 30-foot driveway without encroaching on the sidewalk, which is what we don't want, right? We want people to be able to have sidewalk access without having to walk around a car bumper. And so their driveway, including that sidewalk, is only 30 feet. They couldn't use the driveway as their parking spot for them, for the teenage girl. So on the other side of the house, because their lot is over a certain width, I think it's probably 100 feet, I'm guessing, but it's just the size of the lot, right? They got another curb cut on the opposite side of their house, made that the driveway, or a second driveway, and then connected a nice sidewalk from that to the front door, from the other side of the house. Does that make sense?
mm-hmm.
Now, if their lot was only 50 feet of frontage wide, that would have just all been asphalt, or all been cement, which
Right.
I understand would be a little sightly, potentially. to
Yeah,
some
but I mean,
people.
we have standards in place for
Right.
that.
Well,
So it
because
wouldn't.
it's nice and wide,
You don't notice it as much.
yeah, you don't notice it as much, so I guess that's why I was asking if that made a difference. The size of the frontage, if that makes a difference, then I think we can accommodate that in our current code by just saying it has to be 75, or it can't be more than 78% cement.
Yeah, I think
Well,
the current code, the
that's what
way
it-
it was designed is just to prevent parking lots in people's yards, right? That's
For-
all. I don't care if we, modify the code the way it is. I just don't want parking lots in people's yards,
Sure.
I think that's fair, like, no one wants, like, it to be all concrete or all parking lot, but I think, like, for me, it's so, to, his point, hard to enforce when we have so many things that we just turn a blind eye to,
Yeah.
because we're like, well, of course my teenage boy is going to park,
Yeah,
In the driveway.
yeah.
And I think the reason for that is because the required parking, which is the 2 for every detached single-family dwelling, is already established, right, in the garage when that lot first came in. So because the required parking is taken care of, that's why we turn the blind eye and we're like, well, that's just overflow parking. So we're not going to mitigate that. So, but I still wouldn't be against having that line saying it's okay for the overflow, but anything required would have to follow these standards. So like for ADU parking, it still would have to be in this area. So maybe your driveway doesn't count as ADU parking. But if you have excess cars, then that's fine. You can park on the driveway. So at minimum, I would like to have something like that in the code for the driveway for the overflow.
I like that, and then the RV one is hard for me because, like mine, like, it's so easy to have like a bias, right? Like, because in my situation, like, it's totally fine. Like, we're talking like, you'd have to have a measuring tape, right? Like, this is not blocking what you do in
Yeah.
any way,
Yeah.
like.
And it's temporary.
And it's but at the same time, we don't want to have gigantic RVs that are protruding way into the driveway, blocking views, especially maybe if they are inoperable or just not used very often. So, the cobwebs or, things like that. We obviously, I think, don't want that
Yeah.
either. So where's the middle ground on that?
I think we've got somebody that will go around and enforce the code, but if you had a duration, if somebody was keeping an eye on, an RV per se that has been there for 6 months and never been moved, right, and everybody's having to go around it, then that's when I would say, you know, enforcing the code would really matter. But if it's there for a week, you know, I would have no problem with it, right? So maybe just something in the code where we talk about the duration of how long something can sit in one place. I don't know.
I think West Haven had one of them. I think I approved that in city council. It was a 2-week.
Yeah.
You could have an RV in place for 2 weeks.
In the
It
summer.
was just,
Just whenever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they would have said, oh, for these specific months.
yeah.
No, I'm saying in the summer is like,
When
everybody
you
has
see
their
it,
yard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I-
not everyone is financially able to have a parking,
Mm-hmm.
storage unit for their RV. And so I do want, like, that side, like, RV pad, like, on the side of your house.
I would say if you have an RV, you have enough money to find a parking space. Really, honestly.
That's part of the cost. that
Yeah.
you're-
Definitely going to invest in you.
I mean, I
That's
don't-
what you do when you pull it.
But I get it. I mean, there's so many different things, right? Like,
I don't have a problem at all with the gravel. That seems fine to me.
Yeah, gravel's great.
I guess not to
Yeah.
play devil's advocate, because I'm all for having the gravel be included. I wonder if part of the reason why it's not there is because of water-wise landscaping. So if there's gravel like in your front yard, as just part of your front yard, would people then think, oh, okay, it's gravel, I can park there? But if we have other standards in place saying, no, this area you can't park at all, then maybe it'll be okay. But I don't know if that was part of that conversation or not.
I do like the idea of like gravel to, like, on the side of the house, like making it very specific where that gravel can be for parking, with the
Sure.
intent of only for parking, not for
Right.
like
Well,
landscape.
the way,
Would have to be clear about that.
Yeah.
the way the code's written now, the parking space has to be on the side of the house.
Mhm.
Park in front of the house.
Right.
And they got a list of materials, you can just add gravel to that list of
Right,
materials.
right.
Change that.
Yeah, that was
Everything
the.
else is the same, too.
Yeah, I'm not proposing taking any of those out. It would just be adding and gravel, basically, on there. So yeah. So where are we at, I guess?
Do you want to continue this discussion in another meeting?
Do we want, so are you okay with me putting together something like a draft for you to look at for the next meeting? And then maybe the next meeting deciding whether or not to pursue it any further and then having a public hearing then?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll for sure add some sort of line of code for driveway, saying overflow can be there, adding gravel, and then maybe modeling what it could look like if they were to park beyond the front facade. And then we can just decide not to do it or take that out. Okay, is there anything else when you're looking at the parking ordinance that caught your attention at all?
So we said we were going to specify RV and overflow.
Oh yeah, you want a separate section just for RVs or,
RVs, boats, and trailers.
okay.
Yeah, like a recreational. Yeah.
And those you wouldn't like to not go beyond the front facade? Or what did we decide on that one?
Just not at all. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, come on. That's so true.
Okay, I'll put something
In my part
together,
of the city,
and
that's
we can
not
go from there.
that's not a reality.
Like,
What's that?
In my part of the city, it's not a reality. We don't.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
that part of the city.
For
it's
what?
pretty easy.
To have to require RVs, whatever recreational vehicle, be behind the
the front
facade of the
facade.
house. Yeah, it's
Right. And that's his point, right? He already sees that people are doing it. Yeah.
So, can I ask this question? Because there's nothing that stops that RV from getting parked on the public street. And in those areas, you're talking about narrower streets than other areas, right? So, which is more problematic? Having that RV parked on the public street temporarily and or permanently?
Well, it can't be
Or-
permanently. We do have,
Talking about reality.
well, I'm just saying.
Move it an inch and it's gonna stay there long-term.
Sure.
So
You
which is
technically
more
moved it.
problematic? Having it on the public street or having it in the front facade? Because in those areas, you're getting one or the other in reality, right?
Yeah, well said.
And I'm not asking you to decide now, I'm just saying that's something to think about when
Well, if that were the case, I would just keep the code the way it was and just enforce it the way it was and say you can't park your RV here.
Thing is, if the RV is in the street, they have 48 hours to move it.
Right.
So they can move it a few feet. They move it.
And they moved it.
So, and then PD gets involved and then they call me and I'm like,
And PD is frankly way too busy to deal with
RVs
an
moving.
RV moving 2 inches every two days.
I mean, there's a horse
People
trailer
will
just
find
on
a
our
way,
street
is the
thing.
that
Yeah,
has been there for like 6 months, and
Where at?
they pull it around. You know, once a week they zip off somewhere with it, and then sure enough, it's back.
But if they
Oh.
just could park in their on their driveway, then we wouldn't have the issue.
Or somewhere on their property.
Yeah.
Yeah, or somewhere on their property, correct. So, I'm just telling you all the ways they get around it.
Yeah.
I don't like the driveway because that like blocks your view. But if it's like a designated side parking and it's like sticking out a little bit, that is not destructive to the view, like it doesn't, look bad.
Mhm.
I have a hard time making a big fuss of all that personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
not want it in the driveway like permanently either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recreational.
All right. Okay, I think it's good for now. So I'll put something together and bring something for you next meeting. Okay.
Are we through with that discussion?
I think so, yeah.
Next, we have approval of planning commission meeting minutes for June 12th, 2025. We have a motion to approve those planning commission meeting.
I'll motion to approve the planning minutes from June 12th.
I'll second.
Okay, we got the planning commission meetings for the minutes for June 12th, 2025 are approved. Next, we have staff reports. I'll turn the timer around.
Okay. Did we vote on?
Yeah, they need to make do a
Oh,
vote.
we vote on that as well, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, on the approval, yeah.
Okay. So,
Did you had a motion and a second?
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Walters? Yes. Commissioner Luca?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
And yes.
Yes, okay. Sounds good. Okay, staff reports. Okay, I'll go through one by one. So first up, city council updates. This seems like it was so long ago. So the only real update I have right now is the approval of the net addition to the fence ordinance, which ended up being ordinance 25-11, and that was approved by city council on July 15th. That's it for the city council updates for now. So B, for upcoming items for planning commission, our field trip in September to the Mill Creek City Center. I think for the most part, everyone just said, hey, it doesn't necessarily matter. I don't have a date that works better. After reaching out to city council, it sounds like either September 5th or 12th would be the best. I'm leaning more towards the 12th just because it's August 14th. So it's a little bit further out. But if you have a preference for one or the other, just let me know. So that way I can finalize it. The plan right now is to meet up there. And we'll be just going around and you can ask all your questions of how that city center came to be. And we are going to be provided lunch there by our lovely hosts. But yeah, just let me know as soon as possible if one date works better than the other. And we'll go from there. Yeah. Or you can tell me in person after the meeting. Or you can tell me now. If you're okay, any objection to that or?
What time is the day?
Kind of looking around noon.
Do we have any other is this discussed?
Yes, so, well, we're still going through the staff reports.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're jumping the gun here. So the next one is the FRC meetup. Our agenda says October because last year it was October. Looks like this year it'll be on November 10th, and the location was decided as Royce City. I believe last year for that fall workshop only Brock attended from the Planning Commission. So it'd be great to have more people there. So basically, these workshops are put on by WFRC. It's to update their Wasatch Choice Vision Map, which reflects what all the surrounding cities, what their vision is for their city, and they're just putting it together and have that long-term vision for what all these cities are going to look like. Last October, we had a fall workshop that mainly looked at the different types of centers. And if you recall, I don't think either one of you were, well, you for sure weren't part of the commission. They had us review our portion, say, hey, is this accurate? Do we want the city center here or neighborhood centers, things like that. That was reviewed by Planning Commission and City Council. Now the focus will be on regional roads, transit, trails, and bikeways. So, which is why I had you guys look at our active transportation plan earlier this year. So we're all on the same page, or if there's something we wanted to change, we can discuss that and see if there's something we can do. So yeah, just be ready for that. It looks like it's from 4 to 6, November 10th in Roy City. Okay, and then lastly, just a little bit of an update, small area plan. So we got awarded a grant earlier this year for City Center Small Area Plan. So I just wanted to keep you a little bit in a loop of what's going on with that now that it's August. Staff is working to finalize our RFP so we can, which is a request for proposals. There we are with the acronyms. I'm working on finalizing that with Tim Watkins from WFRC and hopefully be able to send that out soon. Different consultants will hopefully submit their proposals. We will review them and then pick one to be contracted with, and then we're hoping that the timeline will be within a year or so to have a small area plan. So potentially by next, probably September, October, we would have some sort of small area plan for our city center. That's exciting. We're closer, getting closer to having that. But yeah, that's all I have for now.
Next, we have public comments. Is there anybody online with us? Nobody's online. We'll skip the next item, which is adjournment. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
So we have a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Walkus, second by Commissioner Mitchell. Do we have let's see, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We adjourn. Thank you.